I'm driving to my first day at my big new job. You know those first day jitters when you're excited to start something new? I was feeling all of that. And then I noticed that the office that I was driving up to was actually the basement of someone's home. My heart dropped. Had I just made the biggest decision and mistake of my life? I'll give you a bit more context that led to this moment. About a month previous, I was living in Washington, D.C. with my dream job, my dream company. I was pursuing law and human rights work. And then I decided to stop all of that and go and work for a Christmas light company. Yes, you heard that right. Christmas lights. And if you're thinking, that sounds a bit crazy, you're feeling about 1/10 of how crazy I felt. Now I need to come clean about something. I am a recovering perfectionist. I have spent my whole life thinking that there is a right way to do things. And I had a plan. It was to be a lawyer, and it was all going perfectly. And then a mentor asked me very simple questions and said, Jennah, what do you want? And what do you want to grow in? Do you think law is the way to do that? It seems so simple now, but then no one had ever challenged my conventional and linear path to success. No one had ever said, maybe think differently, and it scared me. And then I learned that sometimes it's okay to break the rules, and that thinking differently can actually be an unlock to life. The tension with doing things differently is strong, though, because the world has a lot of ideas of how we should do things, of how we should live, about what success looks like. And so it feels really wrong sometimes to step off that path and that plan that we used to have. So today, I want to share with you 3 frameworks that I use to help navigate uncertainty. The first is finding your North Star. Next is not locking in for life. And last is recognizing that there's not always a right way. Let's get started with identifying your North Star. There's a line from Alice in Wonderland that says, when the Cheshire Cat is talking to Alice, if you don't know where you're going, any path will take you there. What it basically means is if you're not intentional about a direction for your life, then one day you might wake up and not really like what you see. I struggle with the fact that goals can be too rigid, and that sometimes when you just have a black and white goal, you don't get to be open to opportunities that are coming your way. So I've learned to reframe this and try to find a North Star. The exercise is incredibly simple. It's really just asking why. It's the why behind you do what you do, so that you can start to identify what actually motivates you and is going to keep you excited. So whenever you have an experience in life, note, did that make me excited or not? And then why? It's okay if it's vague and if it's a list to start. With more lived experience, it will be clarified. For me, my why is about building human dignity. It's unlocking and removing barriers from people so that they can reach their full potential. What's crazy is that why has stayed the same for me, but the how I've done that has changed constantly. It was first done through human rights work and law. Then it was done through business and entrepreneurship, and now it's through education and technology on a global scale. Having my North Star, it allows me to do what I believe in while still being open to some unconventional choices. Next, let's talk about not locking in for life. It's good to have a plan, but know when to throw out the plan. We learn by doing. Just because my plan didn't work out for being a lawyer, does that mean that it was a waste? Absolutely not. I learned so much about myself that led me to my next step. We need to do action in order to unlock our next opportunity and actually unlock knowledge that we have in ourselves about where we want to go. I use what I call the innovation cycle. Step 1 is taking the information you know. Step 2 is applying it to a decision. And step 3 is acting on it. And the cycle continues. Every time you act, you will learn new information and it will inform a new decision. When new data comes up and your decision changes a direction, it doesn't mean that your last decision was wrong. Even if failure was involved, you can always fail forward, and it's all a really necessary part of our evolutions as humans and where we want to go. Last point. There is no right way to do things. There are many options that are great options. This one kills me as a perfectionist. We spend our whole lives being trained by school and other environments that we have to get the right answer. But life is not a true and false test. We are the only ones who get to decide what happiness looks like for us. And what might be right for one person is not going to be right for the other person. In order to navigate this, we must have incredibly high self-awareness, and we must become master decision makers. I like to use Jeff Bezos' framework for decision making. It's called one-way doors and two-way doors. A two-way door is a reversible decision. That means you can walk through the door, and if you don't like it, you can walk back and you can make another decision. One-way doors, on the other hand, are much more serious. When you walk through that door, it's going to be incredibly difficult to reverse that decision. The problem is that we treat most of our decisions in life like they are one-way doors. This means that we put a lot of time and energy and stress into making the decision when really they are usually two-way doors. That's majority of life indecisions is they're reversible. Let me give you an example. When I decided to pivot from law, I thought it was a one-way door, so I was stressed out. But in reality, it's a two-way door. If I really wanted to go back and be a lawyer, I could work really hard, I could do my LSAT again, and I could probably get into law school. I actually think about that often. We need to give ourselves permission to do things differently than what we might have thought was right in the first place. Do you ever feel overwhelmed? Like you don't know what direction to go? Especially when society has so many stories about what you should be doing. I still feel like that often. But now, when I get up to face the day, I feel grounded. Because I know what drives me. I know my North Star. I have a direction set to do what I believe in. And I can also be open to curiosity and lead this non-linear life that might actually be better than I ever expected. If you're curious about what happened to that basement company, the light one, the Christmas lights, the short story is it changed everything for me. It became much more than a simple resume booster. On paper, We ended up hosting millions of people through one-of-a-kind experiences. We grew our team from 5 to hundreds over multiple countries. We were managing millions of dollars of revenue. But for me, it was about the skills that I learned. What I learned there was far beyond what I expected. I don't know quite all I expected, but it was 10 times better. And it has benefited me years later in all the work that I do, in all of my experiences. And it sounds like a happily ever after, but remember, it was a huge risk to me when I made that decision. I had no idea how it was going to turn out. Great things happen when people are curious and have the courage to think differently. Think of Steve Jobs, who, innovated and changed the world through tech and design. Think of Nelson Mandela, who thought differently and stood for freedom and equality. One of my favorites right now is Jennifer Doudna. She invented the backbone to gene editing through CRISPR, which is going to create a whole new future for us and be able to actually cure these incurable, deadly diseases. When I look back at my younger self, man, she was so stressed out, and she just wanted to get everything right. I wish I could tell her that she's not alone and she's not doomed. She can stand on the shoulders of people who have gone before her, and one day, thinking differently will actually become her superpower. It will unlock a future for her that she couldn't have imagined beforehand. So my challenge for you today is to stop working backwards from these black and white goals and ask if we can start to build upwards from existing potential, from existing skills, from existing interests and sparks and excitement. Can we stop asking, what do you want to do? And try to fit into this little narrow job title, and start by asking, who are you? What do you love? What are you good at? What are you excited about? From there, we can go to the world and see where is needed for those skills. The world needs you. Your unique self. And you are already enough. You already have that spark that can create something even bigger than what you are thinking right now today. So allow yourself to be curious about that. Allow yourself to think differently and watch. Watch as you and the world around you transforms. Thank you.